Hello everyone, Dividend Enjoyer here, and today I'm going to be doing a stock analysis video on the Cheesecake Factory, ticker symbol CAKE. This was suggested by dailyvideos.hub123, so thank you so much Daily Videos Hub for the suggestion. I really appreciate it. If any of you guys watching want me to review a stock or do a stock analysis video on a company that you're doing research on or that you own, I'd be greatly interested in doing that, and drop the comment down below for me to review your stock. So once again, thank you Daily Videos Hub.123. Without further ado, let's get into the stock analysis. The Cheesecake Factory is currently up a whopping 54.53% in the past year, and the stock trades for $49.62. The market cap of the Cheesecake Factory is $2.53 billion. The price to earnings ratio of the Cheesecake Factory is 18.86, and the annual dividend yield for the Cheesecake Factory is 2.18%. The 5-year dividend compound annual growth rate of the Cheesecake Factory is negative 4.36% on average. I think this is just because of COVID being kind of an anomaly and them not being able to open more franchises because people obviously weren't going to the Cheesecake Factory. However, the 10-year dividend compound annual growth rate was 6.32%. So on average, over the last 10 years, they've raised the dividend 6.32%. And this is even with the last 5 years of them actually lowering the dividend. So I think that the company's more secure now, so you're likely going to see, higher dividend increases in the future once they're able to kind of stabilize everything and make sure that their cash flows are secure. The Cheesecake Factory is definitely, an interesting business because I feel like they're one of the very few restaurants that's on the kind of higher end of chains, and I feel like they're so unique in what they do that there may actually be some, just intrinsic value in owning this stock just because it's so different. I feel like it's really safer than a lot of other restaurants that kind of blend into each other and do the same thing. I feel like Cheesecake has a very different sort of approach, and I think that there's definitely some huge potential for growth given the lower market cap compared to some of the other some other restaurant chains. So I think this is a very interesting opportunity, and I also think that's why the stock is up 53% because there was uncertainty on whether they could rebound, and the growth has probably been higher than what analysts really expected. Overall, I think if the financials are good, just based off of my model, I think it's an interesting prospect to buy a little bit into, especially with the dividend potentially raising into the future and the COVID concerns gone. I don't think we're going through another lockdown anytime soon. However, I do have to say, I think that the caliber of customer at Cheesecake Factory has more disposable income than, like a McDonald's customer or someone like that with fast food. So I think if you have bad economic times, the Cheesecake Factory is probably going to get hurt because the way that the stock makes money is that franchisees give them a percentage of their profit, and they really want just more franchises in different places. That's how they really grow the free cash flow. So if they're unable to, make it enticing for someone to open a Cheesecake Factory location instead of something else, then I think that that's going to hurt the free cash flow in the long term. But as long as people are opening new locations and they're also able to make profits because of the current economic conditions, or just the current conditions are correct for them to make money, I think that this could be a buy. Now, keep in mind, this is my non-professional opinion. This is not financial advice. Do your own research. But I definitely do think that this is a very interesting sort of company. And I think that it's very different because the quality that you're getting is very high, but it's still a chain. And it's not quite at that level where it's like a 5-star restaurant. So it's kind of in this weird in between no man's land, doing a service that really not a lot of other chain restaurants are doing at this level. So I think that this could be a very enticing buy for the long term, but I also think that there's a chance with how much it's run up that it could be overvalued at the current price that it's sitting at. So I'm going to do a DCF valuation of the company and give you guys my kind of final thoughts on, if I think this is a buy, sell, or where I think it should be at. Here is my weighted average cost of capital for Cheesecake Factory. As you can see, it's about 4.83%. They're 42.42% debt weighted and 57.58% equity rated. Um, the weighted average cost of capital I have here is fairly low, I think, because their cost of debt is so low compared to their cost of equity, which, I mean, cost of equity is pretty high right now with rates being so high. But we have a weighted average cost of capital here of 4.83% for Cheesecake. My DCF fair model valuation of Cheesecake Factory. As you can see, I even have a 10% free cash flow growth rate on the stock, and there's significant downside. Now, there may be high average free cash flow growth rate for the stock in the future, but you have to get around that 14%, and you still have downside for the stock. As you can see, even with a 14% average free cash flow growth rate for the stock, I'm getting a fair value of 48.78, which is lower than the current market value of 49.62. I'm going to be steering clear of this stock. And, if you think that they can achieve this, you can make your own decision on whether or not you should invest. For me, I think that there is significant growth, and I do like this stock better than like a McDonald's or a lot of other different types of companies in fast food, just because there's a lot of growth to be had. But I don't like it at this valuation. I think it's too high, and I don't think I'm going to even entertain this, because while if they have a 20% average free cash flow growth rate, they've only had a 4.48% from the trailing 12 months to 2023. And that would result in the DCF per share being $14.66. And I think that's low because they probably have had significant money this year going back into the business or into CapEx or something else to recover from COVID and try and just gain back their ground and invest in the future. But even at a 7% free cash flow growth rate on average for the next 9 years and a perpetual growth rate of 2.5%, the stock still has 56.52% downside, which is about where they're up from the past year. So I think that this stock, you could definitely justify buying it at a little bit of a premium, like a 10% baked in free cash flow growth rate, but that would still value it at only $31.62. I mean, even if you put it at 12, there's still 20% downside, and 12% free cash flow growth rate is pretty good, especially for a chain restaurant brand like this. I'm not trying to hate on the stock, I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings about it. I just think it's overvalued personally, and that's my opinion on it. I think a fair value would probably be around $38. If you could get in there or lower, I think that would be acceptable. I think that this current price is just absolutely ridiculous because you're baking in, like I said, like a 14% average free cash flow growth rate for the next 9 years. And I just don't think that that's possible with Cheesecake Factory, and also just how much debt they have. I don't think that the rates being so high is helping them. And just the fact that you can get a risk-free rate at such a high amount, it doesn't justify the risk, and also just the potential just overvaluation of this stock. I think it's overvalued. I think it's priced in for future growth way too much, and I think you should wait for this stock to reel down, or in my unprofessional opinion, I would sell out of this stock. I think that this stock has run well enough, and I think that it's going to go down in the future. In the near term, I just think it's overvalued personally, and that's my opinion. There could be I could be wrong too. There could be an earnings surprise, but that's my stock analysis of the Cheesecake Factory. Thank you guys for watching. Please hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. Bye.